all the things that you see in your world come from you. They don't come from the thing. Situations and events and circumstances are just that. It's wild when you think about it that way, right? Because it changes the way you look at the world, but you have to constantly be asking yourself questions. And to go back to all the things you're not doing in your life, here's what people do. I'll give you an example. Like we have these things that we know that we need to do that have to be done in order to change the trajectory of our life that we're not doing. So instead, in our brain, we go, but I also need to do this because we have a list of things, whether it's cleaning your desk, washing your car, painting your house, something, right? It's something that you need to do that requires less discomfort and effort, right? It's less discomfort, still uncomfortable, less discomfort. So instead, what we do is like, how many of you guys, when you have something, like, I need to do this because it's going to change my life, jump all over them? Most people don't. They look for reasons to do something different because it's a little uncomfortable. When you pull yourself out of a routine, oh, how many of you guys are like, that drives me nuts? But the problem is that routine has provided exactly what you have right now, that you don't want to have that. You don't want that. You don't want that life. You don't want that. You don't want any of that. So that routine is causing that, and you're going to keep arguing to stay there. Interesting. So if you don't jump at it, and let me ask you this, how many of you guys instead find something else on that same list of things to do that you need to do that just require less effort? The answer is almost everybody on this call, because we've all done it, including myself. We find something that's less effort. Still effort, but less effort. So you need to work out, right? And you have your time set to go to the gym, and it's, let's say, 10 o'clock, and you go outside and your car's filthy. And you're like, yeah, but man, just look at all that traffic on the road, and I'm still hungry. I didn't get a chance to have my coffee. And you know what? My car is filthy. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip today, but I'm going to get this done. I need to wash my car. My car is disgusting. And I've been wanting to wash it for the last week. So I go outside and I polish the shit out of my car and I roll it into my garage. And in the back of my mind, I'm still running a dialogue going, you didn't work out. But then I look at my car and I go, yeah, but look at my car. Look at all the work I did today. Worthless. And we do that all the time. People do people do that at their job. They're like, I know I should make 100 sales calls today, let's say. And they're in their little cubicle and they're like, I just don't like being told no. It really is uncomfortable. It bugs me all the time. So instead they clean their fucking desk. And then they have the cleanest desk in the world and no money because it gives them that feeling of accomplishment. But you didn't accomplish anything. You did busy work. It's the illusion of motion without actually going anywhere. It's like my wife and I always joke about it. We see people get off the freeway and take all these back roads. And it takes them twice as long to get home, but they're moving. I've done it. I told you, we tried flying to Disney from Northern California once, and it took just as long to drive. Between the illusion of moving, right? Because we could drive from our house to Disney, to the Grand Californian, and give the valet my keys in 6 hours. I would get on a plane. By the time I got in the car, I packed, I drove to Oakland. We'd fly out of Oakland, take the flight, get off the plane, go get the rental car, take the rental car, it was like 7 hours. And you wanted to punch somebody after being on the plane. Plus, if you have kids, you ever travel with little kids? Holy shit. You know how much of a pain in the ass a stroller is to bring on a plane? It's literally the most irritating thing in the world. And we had this dumb stroller. I bought 2 of them one time because I drove over one with my truck. Yeah, this is an interesting story. Everybody just went, what? Yeah. We were going to Monterey Aquarium, and we had this, it was called a Bumble Ride, this stroller. This thing was like $800, $900, $1,000. It was a lot of money, but you could drive this thing with one hand, and it was like a weapon at Disneyland. I loved this thing. And it had two spots in it, and Brandy put it behind the truck, and I wasn't paying attention, and I was going to back out. So I had the gate down, and I put it in reverse, and I'm like, why is the truck really hard to move? And then I go, where'd you put the stroller? And she goes, I left it behind the truck. And I go, oh. I had to get out there. It looks like this thing got hit by a dump truck. It's all mangled and destroyed. Like it's just a Bradley assault vehicle just drove over it about 30 times. And I went, shit. So we went, this is how awesome it is when you're like, I know what I want. So we went to the store about maybe 2 miles down the road. They had I think we got there and they had just opened. And I'm like, I need another one of those. We had to wait for 2 months for this fucking stroller because they're so hard to get. I go in and she's like, oh, I have one. It's promised to another client already. I said when I got in, I would call them. I literally went like this. Here's $1,000. I'll take it right now. And she goes, okay. Bang. Took the stroller, stuck it in the back. Had plastic and shit on it, stuck in the back of the truck, drove to the aquarium, stuck my kids in it. And then I mix and matched them afterwards. So I had a pink side and a black side. I had the only custom bubble ride ever. And then I sold on eBay for the same price. But it's one of those things where, like, fuck, you have to, what's the solution? We could have sat there and whined about it and gone, well, shit, the meaning is, I guess we're not going to the aquarium. Why? Because we don't have a stroller. I'm not going to use one of those little umbrella strollers and bang my shins the whole time. You know, whatever it is. The meaning, I gave that the meaning. Was I pissed off? Yeah, I was. Still had to do it. You have to look at what you're going to do. So if you are finding things to occupy your life outside of the parameters of what you know you damn well need to know, that's the problem. Your psychology is the problem. And this is how people get stuck in their life forever. I'm not saying for a little bit. They're like, it is always, I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to do it next year. I'm going to do it next month. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then the next day they get up and they wash the car and they clean the desk and they still don't do it. And every day it is more difficult. But it goes right back to what I said. What do you have? What can you get more of, time or money? Why are you wasting time? But it's weird. People validate why they're just going to waste one more day. What if that was like what I said last week, right? What if that was your last hour? If you could buy another one, would you spend $1 million to get one more hour if you knew that was your last one? I wouldn't even think twice about it. I'd blow everything I got to have one more hour. If I had one more hour with my wife, there's no amount of money I wouldn't spend to do that if I knew I was on my last one. So the most ridiculous thing to think is that you can have more time. And yet what are people really stingy with? Money. And you're taught to think that. You know that, right? Because I asked it last week. I said, if you had to earn $1 million in 30 days, it doesn't matter what it is, but it was a matter of life or death, every single person on this call, no matter what, would figure out a way. And the ones that didn't, well, that's natural selection. And it's douchey, but it's true. You can't say them all. You just can't. Some people just don't want to. But here's what happens. Whenever you're reminded of what you need to do to change where you are, change your trajectory, change your position, they go do something else.